What's up, guys? I've gotten a lot of questions about a bunch of the videos that I put up. I've gotten questions about the Darknet. I've gotten questions about prison. I've gotten pretty eclectic amount of different questions, which always gets me excited because it means people are actually interested in the stuff that I'm talking about. So I wanted to answer a few of them here in this video. Um, so the first one was, what was prison like for a hacker or a nerd type? It was pretty much the same as it is for everyone else, which is, it sucks. It's not a good place to be. No one wants to be there. You're surrounded by concrete and steel. It's kind of like going to public school. It's just a place that no one really enjoys being. Uh, So, I mean, as long as you don't have, you're not a child molester. You didn't tell on anyone. You're not really going to have a rough time. From my personal experience, anyway. As long as you're honest, not really honest, but you're straightforward. You're respectful. Um, it's a lot of common sense stuff. But there's also a lot of rules that exist that you don't really think too much about. So I'll give you an example. I know when I first got in, I really wanted people to know that I was a good dude. I wanted people to know that, I wasn't a rat. I didn't tell on anyone. I wasn't a child molester. So I had brought in with me, prior to self-surrendering, I had looked up and I had found out that, I could bring in this paper. It's called, statement of reasons, and it's basically why you got sentenced the way you got sentenced. Now, from my understanding, a lot of places don't let you bring this in. The place that I self-surrendered to, when I called them and I asked them specifically if I could bring this in. They said yes, so I did. So after I brought it in, when you go to SHU, which is solitary for however long it takes for them to find you a bed. And this is before COVID. Now they have a COVID quarantine. But anyways, when I got to the unit, I had ended up finding finding the people that were from my area or my homeboys. And, I had someone else ended up checking my paperwork, right? So they checked it and they told someone else, he's good. I checked his paperwork out. So there was one guy I met who, I wanted him to see my paperwork. I didn't want someone to tell him that I was good. I wanted him to see it in black and white. So, I showed it to him, and he was like, "You don't have to show this to me. This other guy vouched for you." And I was like, "Yeah, I want you to know, though. I want you to see it for yourself, not knowing anything." So what he told me was, by you doing that, you're insulting the guy who said you were good, you're being disrespectful to him in a sense. So it's a really weird place with a lot of laws and kind of rules that you don't really think about until you're actually there. Things you don't really, I didn't, maybe I'm just an idiot. I didn't think about that it would be disrespectful to this other guy. So, I guess to answer the question, it's the same as it is for anyone else. As long as you're not an idiot and you're respectful and you carry yourself a certain way, you're more than likely going to be fine. As long as, again, if you're not a child rapist or a snitch or something. So the next question was, did I ever have any close calls with law enforcement? No, not as a Darknet vendor. No, I didn't. Then again, I never went out. My job did not involve the logistics of actually walking into the post office and sending something out. My job was everything but that. Literally everything but that. From sourcing product to having it brought into the country to breaking it down, repackaging it, moving it domestically, dealing with customers, all of that, advertising, pictures, stripping out EXIF data from pictures, all that kind of stuff was involved in it. So the next question I had was, did you like being a Darknet vendor? And I did. I enjoyed it, I think it was just because it was a business that I had created and it was successful. And it definitely wasn't easy because there's a lot of moving parts, but I enjoyed doing it. I enjoyed, the organization of it. And then when you build something and you see it being successful, I think it's one of the best feelings in the world. Next to, having a child, I think it was definitely one of the best feelings because it's almost like your baby, I'm a parent, so it's definitely not like that, but it's like that, just less intense, if that makes any kind of sense at all. So yeah, that's pretty much how I felt about it. A lot of these questions that I'm answering here are questions that can be answered pretty easily. They don't really require a detailed explanation, and that's why I'm kind of throwing them all together in this video. In the future, like the questions that I had that are going to require more of a detailed breakdown, I will answer a little bit more in depth in the future. So, let's see. If you could redo the last 5 years, would you? And that would be like my prison sentence, my pretrial, and basically like when I got raided. I think it would be all in the span within that. And no, I wouldn't. I think what we go through makes us who we are today. And even though I made mistakes, like I'm happy with who I am. And I think that really, at the end of the day, that's probably the biggest thing in life is being happy with yourself. I definitely know that I've made a ton of mistakes, not just being a Darknet vendor, but in life in general, a ton of mistakes, but like we learn from them, we get better. And I think that's what makes us better as people, is learning from those mistakes and evolving. And, it's like with people, I like to think of it like, you either become like fruit where you get worse in time and you become rotten and putrid, or, you end up like wine where you get better with time. Those people that are lifetime learners typically tend to have that pattern where they get better and better and better. And they concentrate on some of those things that actually, matter to them, or, just in general in life, as opposed to like some of the superficial, nonsensical things that we run into every day and we have to deal with like every day on social media or the news or, whatever it is. Just like those kind of waste of time, things that we end up, those distractions in life that end up presenting themselves, But this isn't going to be a long video. I really, at the end of the day, I just kind of wanted to start answering these because they're starting to pile up. So I wanted to answer a couple. I'll try to answer some of the longer ones, the ones that are going to take a little bit more of an explanation. Maybe tackle like a big one next instead of doing a couple of these small ones. But I'm going to put these all in a playlist, so they're easy to find. And if you already saw one, that you don't have to watch that one or whatever. That one sucked, and as opposed to this one's good. So probably just number them, or I don't know, some kind of scheme like that. But thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. If you like this content, go ahead and hit that like button. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.